So networking has been a really powerful way for me to advance my career and meet new people and even make new friends. So the events that I'm going to be talking about today are events that, you know, you go and you mingle and you talk with people and you have conversations and get to know people. So that can be in a professional setting, like for a job club, or it can also be in a really fun way. It can be with your hobbies, So first I'm going to ask really quick, you can put a yes or a no in the chat. Have you ever been to a networking event? Okay. You've got a no, got a yes, got another yes. Cool. And let's see. Looks like we've got, 8 or so people. So that's good. That's a good small group. Awesome. So I have been to several networking events. So I'm going to share my best tips and tricks to make sure that if you decide to go to a networking event, it will be easier, and it will also be fun, because why would you do something if it isn't fun, right? So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to find networking events. There are some ways that I use to find networking events. There are websites that list events like meetup.com or eventbrite.com. You can also look for events on Facebook. You can even look for events on LinkedIn if you're interested in more professional career advancement events. You could do a Google search and Google your interests. Like, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about hobbies. One hobby I have is that I love to read. So I joined a book club. What are some hobbies that you guys have? Some things that you do for fun? You can put them in the chat, or if you'd like, you can unmute yourself and just say them really quick.
I have chickens, and that's kind of a hobby of mine.
Yeah, that's
and
a cool
photography.
Hobby. Nice. I love it. Any other ideas? Any other hobbies?
This is Nancy, and I do some volunteering with our school district for my kids, and so it's volunteering, but it's fun to fun too. It's kind of like a hobby, I guess, in a way.
Sure. Sure. Definitely. Anything else?
Well, Lawrence from South Milwaukee, I like electronics, so I'm kind of a geek, if you will.
I love it. Anybody else?
I love music and I DJ.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. That's really cool. Nice.
And Jen has her hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Jen.
Yes, I do, guys. On Zoom. Singing, dancing, photography, and cooking.
Awesome. Those are some awesome hobbies. Yeah.
And I like to, I sing and dance.
Cool. Sounds good.
Those are really fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so you can Google and look for, reading and walking and ventriloquist. That's unique. I love it. You can do a Google search and look for organizations in your community that would point you towards events where you could meet people. I am in a book club, so that is how I share my love of reading with people. I've seen sports leagues. I've been parts of astronomy club, you know, there's just all kinds of ways. So Googling can be a really great way to find events near you where you can network but have fun, you know, network with people who do hobbies that are the same as yours. I also have noticed that a few different people in this group share some hobbies, you know, reading being one. And so you can even talk to your friends about your hobbies. The friend who invited me to the book club, she knew that I liked to read and she liked to read too. And so she invited me to join the book club. So you can talk with your friends and you can, you know, get ideas from them and they might share the same hobby as you. So you can go to events that way. All right. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what to do before the networking event. And I'm going to focus this on professional networking events, like events that you would attend if you run a business or if you want to look for a job, or you know, if you are looking to meet people to advance your career. But you know, this advice could apply to hobby networking groups as well. So one of my big takeaways was to plan what I would wear ahead of time. That way, you know, usually when you go to a group for the first time, you might want to look a little nicer. You might want to feel more comfortable, and just wear something that you like. And you want to make sure that outfit is clean. So if you plan ahead, then you'll know, all right, you know, here I've got my nice clean outfit, I'm ready to go. All right. Then you'll want to plan how you will attend the event. Is it a virtual event? You know, do you need to get some technology on your computer or on your phone to be able to attend it? Is it an in-person event? Since I'm totally blind, I cannot drive. So I have to plan how I'm going to get there. I need to take a taxi or, you know, find someone else who's going that I can ride with, or ask a friend or family member for a ride. So you might need to plan how you'll get there. Then you'll want to make a list of things that you want to bring with you. If you're going to a professional event, you'll want to bring some business cards. If it's a hobby event, you might want to bring, like, if it's a book club, you know, you usually want to have a copy of the book that everyone read. Or if it's a knitting club, you'll want to make sure you have all your knitting stuff. You know, if it's some sort of music or instrument club, you'll want to bring your instrument. You'll just want to make sure that you have a list of all the things that you want to bring with you. So in addition to business cards, I usually also pack breath mints, because, you know, when you're talking to somebody, you want to make sure your breath smells really good. You'll want to bring something to write with or record with, because you're going to meet people. You're going to make connections at the event, hopefully, and you'll want to be able to have the ability to capture their phone number or their email address, or, you know, some way to keep in touch. Or if it's, you know, if it's an event that's like a lecture, or, you know, you're learning something in like a pottery class or an astronomy class or photography class, you might want to take notes on that. Another thing that I usually include before I go on my list is a list of fun questions that I can use to make conversation more fun and easier. So I am kind of a shy person. It's hard for me to start conversations. I would much rather wait for somebody to start talking to me. So having the list of questions prepared ahead of time helps me feel more confident. And we'll talk about fun questions in a little bit. So don't worry, I'll give you some ideas. And then before the event, you'll also want to make sure that any technology you'll need is working. So if you're going to need your phone, you'll want to make sure that's fully charged. If you're going to need your computer, you'll want to make sure that's turned on. you'll need to make sure that you can quickly and easily access any links that you'll need to attend the event. And, just to make sure you have everything that you need and it's ready to go. If it's possible, like if you know someone else who's going to the event, or if it's like a Facebook event and you can kind of see who else is going, you might want to look and ask who else is going. When I found out, when my friend invited me to book club, I asked her like, hey, who else will be there? And, she kind of told me like, oh, we have a friend who is a realtor and, she has cats, or like, oh, we have a friend, a person who's coming who just got a new job, or, just something, so that when I met those people, I had something I could talk to them a little bit about. Like, oh, my friend mentioned that you have cats. I love cats. And then I could ask her all about her cats. So it can just be a little more fun to just kind of know who's going to the event. Now, before we move on, does anyone have any questions about what to do before an event?
There's no questions in the chat. Just
That's okay.
Jazz is asking where Ramsey is.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. I can't answer that question. That's okay. I'll keep moving. And if you think of a question later, there'll be other places where we can pause and ask questions. So feel free to think about your questions. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about when you're at the event, what are some things you can do to help yourself feel comfortable. So one thing I do, since I'm an introvert and since I'm blind, loud sounds are kind of overwhelming to me. I set achievable goals for the number of people that I might want to talk to, or I might say like, okay, I'm only going to stay for an hour and a half. I can handle an hour and a half, but anything after that, if I'm having fun, I'll stay. But anything, if I'm not having fun or if I'm just tired, I can give myself permission to go home after that time. Or I might say, I want to talk to 5 new people. Or I might say, I found out from my friend who else is going and I want to for sure talk to these 3 people. So setting achievable goals for yourself will help you get out there. It'll help you make the most of your time there because you'll have a limited time and you'll have set concrete goals. And it will also help you feel like you're not spending your whole evening at an event that's loud and if you're not having fun, you can just say, well, I was here for my hour and a half. Now it's time to go home. Let's see. Another tip when you're at the event is to smile. I know people say that a lot. It's even if you're nervous, like just smiling can actually help you feel happier. And people will be a little more likely to approach you and talk to you, which is, I'm very interested in that because I'm an introvert. So anyone who comes up and talks to me is amazing. So I found that smiling is helpful. And again, it's okay to wait for someone to approach you, but if you notice someone, okay, I'll explain what an introvert is really quick. So generally, this isn't true of everyone, but generally in the population, there are people who are introverts and there are people who are extroverts. Extroverts get their energy from being around other people. So when they are tired or when they're feeling sad or when they just, I don't know, like when they're lonely, they want to go and be around other people. An introvert is someone who gets their energy from being by themselves. So I love being around people. I love being around my friends. I love being around my family. But there comes a point where I just need to go be alone and read a book or just be by myself in the peace and quiet. And that is how I recharge, and that is how I get energy. So when I go to an event where there are lots of people, I can deal with that for a while. I might even have fun for a while, but there will come a point where I need to go home and be by myself. So that's the difference between an introvert and an extrovert. And knowing which one you think you might be can help you recognize, like if you're an extrovert, you might want to surround yourself with a lot of people. If you're an introvert, you might want to make sure that you schedule in quiet time so you can be by yourself. And it's not that extroverts never like being by themselves or that introverts never like being around people. It's just, just paying attention to what makes you feel good and how you can make the most of your time and your energy. That was a really great question. Thank you for that question. So anyway, if you're at a networking event and you see someone you'd like to talk to, or you might notice someone has some cool earrings and you want to tell them, hey, you have really cool earrings. Don't be afraid to approach people and talk to them, because that's the point of the networking event. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shy and friendly. That is a great way to put it. If you'll be eating or drinking something, usually networking events might have snacks. It's important to think about, will this stain if I spill it, or just finding, I like to find a table to stand at or sit at when I'm eating something. Because walking around, I use a long white cane that I tap in front of my feet, and it finds objects before my body does, so I don't run into things. So I have my cane in my hand, I might have my purse, I might have, a food, a glass of punch or a plate of snacks. I like to find a table to sit at when I'm at a networking event. That way I know that I'm not going to bump into somebody. Let's see. If the event is virtual, it's a great idea to have your camera turned on so people can see you. I kind of cheat sometimes, and I have my professional headshot put in my Zoom avatar so people can still see me when my camera's off, because they see a picture of me. So that's another thing you can do too. Sometimes I just like to have my camera off because I can't always tell where it's pointing. Also at a virtual event, having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a soda next to you is fine, but it's generally a good idea not to eat a whole meal when you're on a virtual event, because you'd be the only one eating, and that's a little awkward. And speaking of tea, just as a pro tip, peppermint tea, in my opinion, is my favorite networking tea because it tastes good. I can drink it at any time of day. It usually doesn't have caffeine, and it makes your breath smell good. So, if I go to a networking event at a coffee shop, I will often get a peppermint tea. All right. And then you can, this is probably better on the list of before, but it's here, so I'm just going to go over it. Make a plan of how you will keep track of people's contact information. I have a special holder that I put business cards in, so when people give me a business card, I can slip it in there. Sometimes I'll just enter their phone number right into my phone, or I'll connect with them on LinkedIn or become their Facebook friend right away. And that way I know who they are. Let's see. Yeah, that's a great idea. Taking a picture of a card and putting it, having it in your phone that way. And also remembering names is a really cool thing that you can do. People love to hear their names. So, if you can address people by their names and come up with little creative ways to remember their names, that's a way that you can make an impression. And then For some networking events, people have you do like a talk about yourself in 30 seconds or less, that type of thing. So it's cool to be able to introduce yourself really quickly. If I were going to do that, I'd say, hi, my name's Katie. I live in the Wisconsin Dells, and I like to read fantasy books, and I work for a marketing agency. That was less than 30 seconds, but it kind of gives people an idea of sort of who you are. And that can be really nice. All right. Any questions about things to do at an event?
Yes, I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So at an event, do you get to greet people? Or
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah, a lot of times. So I like different types of events for different reasons. At a virtual event, it's nice because you hear from everyone who's in the room. You hear from all of them. Everyone gets a chance to say who they are and talk about themselves a little bit. At an in-person event, you'll move around the room and, talk with people. There might be an organizer who stands up and thanks everybody for coming, and you can say hi to the people around you. So yeah, that's usually at well, I have been to in-person events where each person in the room does get to say, who they are and things like that. But some in-person events are really big. Like I've been to some that are like, 30, 40, 50 people, and it would take all night if everyone stood up and said, introduce themselves. But that can also happen. Any other questions?
I just had a comment.
Yeah.
This is Nancy. I used to go to this speaker series. My son has a disability, and so they had a speaker series. It was like the North Shore People Network, and they'd have a speaker, and all the parents would come, and sometimes teachers too, and you learn about like IEPs for school and stuff. But they handled it really well because the speaker, they would tell you ahead of time, like, okay, this speaker is going to be speaking on this topic, and you can, you'll have opportunities at this point to ask your questions. And then if somebody in the audience comments on something that you're interested in or you want more information about, we'll have a chance after the speaker to find those people, and then you can talk about it. Because a lot of times parents might have a good suggestion for each other, and then they want to know, like, oh, who's that occupational therapist that your child goes to, or whatever it was they commented or asked about. So it was a really nice way to set it up because you got the information, and then everything was timed out so people knew exactly how much time you had. It was just, out of like events I've gone to, I thought that was a really cool way to do it. And it was a nice way to, catch people after. And then it didn't go on and on like with, like where it got too much into one topic rather than like, yeah. So it was, anyway, that was a neat event that I would go to.
Cool. Yeah. I typically try to go to events that are really well timed too, for that reason. And going to events where there's a speaker or a topic can be really helpful because if you're shy, you'll already have something to talk about with people. You know that you'll have something in common with them. So that's another really good point. All right, now I'm going to take a few minutes to talk.
Lisa's raising her hand.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that. Thanks, Sydney.
Yes, my name is Denise. I have a question. In Janesville, we have what's called Forward Janesville, and it's like the Chamber of Commerce, but they let people in that are not businesses of the chamber. You can pay a fee and just be part of the community and go and do an event. Have you got any suggestions on how for a person with a disability to be looked at as equal as someone else?
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that question, and I have no indication that I'm not, but I have no indication that I'm not looked at the same way. But I happen to be a grief educator where I help people who have lost have had a death in their family or whatever. And I find that talking to people is the easiest way to get myself out there. And I was wondering if you had any tips to like break the ice and all of that kind of thing on kind of a professional level.
Yeah, that's something I think about a lot too. So I'm really glad you brought that up, Denise. I think my best advice is to showing up is 90% of the battle. Like if you can persuade yourself, like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just go and I'm gonna I've got my outfit, I've got my business cards. I can, I've thought of some fun questions like, what brings you here today, or things like that. Like, I'm just gonna go for it. And sometimes you'll meet people that you click with and you can have that professional networking conversation. Other times you'll just say hi to somebody, they'll say hi back, and that's it. Like, it doesn't really go anywhere.
Okay.
So I think just just making that goal of like, okay, I'm only gonna, I want to hand out like 5 business cards or something like that, so that once you've achieved that, then you're like, oh, good, I can relax a little more and enjoy the event. So, and the more confident and comfortable that you are with yourself, the more comfortable, usually, the more comfortable people will be around you.
Yeah.
Not everyone will. That's a reality. That's something, that we just have to take into consideration as people who are different, and people who use different methods and get around in different ways. And that's okay. Like, not everyone is going to be an amazing connection, but like, all you have to do is just show up and come with an open mind and, just talk to people. Yeah, it takes guts for sure, but as once you're there,
Yeah.
usually
That's what I had heard one time, and not in an event situation. I heard that small talk is the way to make friends, because you keep on going back to the same event because you might like something in common, and then making small talk is the really heart of everything. So thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah. So if there's no other hands up, I'm gonna
I
jump.
just had a comment. It's Nancy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Denise, I was raising funds for something for my kids' school. So I would go to the Chamber of Commerce events, and I was super nervous beforehand because I'm not a business person. And but people were generally pretty friendly, and kind of what helped me is like if there was, say, a business there that I'd gone to before, I would maybe seek out that person who was from that business, and then just say, oh, wow, I love your, vegetarian sandwich, or it's so good, or, or I would just comment on something about their business, or ask them about how long have you been in business, or how long have you been in the chamber. And that seemed to kind of help me feel a little bit more confident. And sometimes there would be other events that you'd hear about at the chamber, like where they were trying to get people to come to like maybe an opening of a new business, or sometimes there'd be clubs like the Kiwanis would be there, or the Rotary, and they might be doing an event that they needed volunteers for. And so sometimes it would kind of like one event could lead to other types of events like that, and they really appreciate the help. So that, I don't know, just that was my experience anyway.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Sure.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, and that brings me to my next point. After the event, get in touch with anyone who you want to talk with more. You can reach out, if they gave you a business card, you can reach out to them. I usually connect with them on social media, like through LinkedIn, or Facebook if it's a more social type of event and not as professional. And, you know, set up a time to talk more. That's usually like if you are in a business to business setting, that's usually when the business happens, is like you've introduced each other, you're getting to know each other, and now you're gonna have like a one-on-one conversation, like a half an hour or something like that, just to talk more and see if it might be a good fit to work together. If you had a really good time at the event, it can be a fun idea to like let the organizer know. There's this one networking event that's put on by a group of freelance writers. I'm also a freelance writer, and it's super fun. They just have like really fun activities and things. And so whenever I go, I always like let the organizer know, like, hey, that was super fun. Thanks for hosting it. If anyone contacts you after the event, it's a good idea to respond to them, quickly. And let's see, we've got about 15 minutes left. So I'm going to go into, let's see. I'm going to talk a little bit about like how to stand out, which, depending on your disability, sometimes you'll stand out anyway. I walk into a room and everybody knows, oh, yep, there's a blind girl. So but then, so yeah, having icebreaker questions written down. So I went to a really cool networking event where we wrote them on our name tag. Like you wrote like, hi, my name is Katie. And I'm wondering, what is your favorite book? And then, people can see the question on your name tag, and then it will spark conversation because people will come up and talk to you. And I'll list a few more fun questions you can do. You can carry like a conversation piece or wear something fun that you like. Like in the wintertime, there's like a knit hat that I wear. Every time I wear it, someone always is like, wow, that's a nice hat. And then I can talk a little bit about, oh yeah, my sister gave it to me, for my birthday, and I love it. Gives people an opening to talk to you, and then they'll, you might continue the conversation. Asking people about themselves is a really good way to stand out. Sometimes it can be really easy to go to a networking event and just like, okay, I need to talk about myself. I need to talk about what I do. I need to make sure people know about me. But if you ask about other people, they will remember you because people love to talk about themselves. So you can be the person who gives them a chance to talk about themselves. And I mentioned this earlier, but using a person's name when you're in a conversation with them is really a cool way for them to remember you too, because we love to hear our names. I read somewhere it's like our favorite word. And if you don't like your name, then that's okay. You might have a nickname that you really like it, and people call you that. So, using people's names and making a note of their names is another great way to stand out. Let's see. All right. So now we're going to go to the icebreaker questions that are fun to ask. Some of them that I have down on my list are coffee or tea, which is your favorite? That usually sparks some conversation. I'm a tea drinker. I love tea. I love, mint tea, and, but one of my friends is also a tea drinker, but she loves herbal tea that is not mint. It's like, dandelion root and all kinds of stuff. So we had a whole conversation about tea and how different our tea tastes were. Chocolate or vanilla, that's another fun, like which one is your favorite, chocolate or vanilla? I'm a chocolate person, love chocolate, especially dark chocolate. Husband loves white chocolate. We get into fun debates about which is better. That can be a fun way to talk with people. Your favorite book, or like what is your favorite movie? Another cool question that I'm going to throw out here that's a really good conversation starter is, in what ways do you spend your time? And I love this question because, you know, people might have a job, they might not. They might not want to talk about their job, even if they have one. They might have a hobby that they'd really like to talk about. They might want to talk about their pets. They might want to talk about their family. So if you ask, how do you spend your time? That shows that it's not just based around what someone does in the working world. So it's really important to emphasize that people are human beings and not human doings, as my mom would say. So, you know, it's just a cool way to let people talk about what they feel like talking about. All right. So I'm gonna pause. Another icebreaker question that I really like for me is, what is your favorite planet? That's my favorite planet is Mars, but yeah, I love astronomy. So I am going to take another quick break for questions. You can ask a question about any of these things, or just if you have any other networking questions, feel free to raise your hand or put them in the chat.
Not really a question, but that's a lot of really good advice for networking.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? All right. Are there any hands raised, Sydney?
I don't see any at this
Okay.
time.
Cool. Well, that is the end of my talk. So I recommend, you know, that was a lot of information. I understand that. That was a ton of information. All you have to think about is, like, what is the one thing that you're going to take away with you out of all the things that I said, you know, and keep in mind for the future. So don't feel pressured to try and implement everything or remember everything. Just think about that one thing. Like, maybe you're going to make a list of icebreaker questions. Maybe you're going to put some breath mints in your, you know, in your bag or in your pocket or whatever the next time you go to an event. So yeah, take that one thing, and maybe it's just committing to showing up, you know, committing to just go to an event and be like, okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do it. So think about the one thing that you want to take with you. So thank you so much for having me. It was really great to be here.
Yeah, we really appreciated you coming and speaking. I think it'll impact a lot of self-advocates.
Awesome. All
Thanks so
right.
much, Sydney. Thanks, Sydney. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Nice meeting you,
Nice
Denise.
meeting you too. Thanks, Nancy. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Katie, I love the question. How do you spend your time?
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, I got a book called How to Talk to Anyone, and it gave all kinds of tips about how to talk to people. And that was a tip that has always stuck with me. And I was actually at an event once where someone asked me that, and I got really excited. I was like, oh, you're a person who's aware that, you know, people are more than just their job. So it was great.
It's true. Yeah, I like that question.
Yeah. Another really cool question is, what brings you here today? That can also be a really cool question.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons of them out there. Just Google search away. Good icebreaker questions.
For sure. Great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Or y'all, I should say. Thanks, y'all.
Cool. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.